Celeste is one of the most popular and highly praised modern platformers, and for good reason. Its tight platforming gameplay, banging soundtrack and beautiful art and animations deserve the praise it gets. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Celestes game design and how it encourages the player to get past some of the most challenging, yet incredibly entertaining platforming challenges in the market. Celeste has a great storyline about overcoming anxiety and achieving something against the odds. That is not the only story in the game, however. Maddie Thorson, director of Celeste, stated in a GDC talk that Celeste was designed to have a story on every level of the game. That meant the game would have an overarching story, as well as each area having its own stories and each level having a story. Once this is pointed out, it seems obvious. Maddie gave this example during his GDC talk, where the player is supposed to climb up this platform, but the platform starts to shake and falls. If the player jumps off too soon, they end up in these spikes, too late and they fall with the platform. Once up here, they have to find a safe way down and across to the exit over there. The story here being how the player has to survive the unexpected change and having to adapt to the new situation to complete the level. Stories are of course on the area level as well, on a much grander scale than levels alone. We can see this clearly on Area 2 for example, which starts off with a slow exploration area, with some mysterious objects and rooms to explore, before you will eventually stumble into a room with a mirror, where you confront your evil self, some strong story beats go by, and you are thrown into a fast-paced platformer section with longer levels, meaning you have more to lose if you die, and a time constraint to complete them, since Battle Line is following closely behind you. This is a stressful peak to the area, and when complete is followed by a slow, relaxing ending with no threats at all. It perfectly follows the story mountain we were all taught in primary school, with a distinct slow introduction, fast-paced middle and a rewarding and relaxing end to cool down. One thing I've noticed about the stories of Celeste is the fact that they are all propelled by the player's actions. You found your way past the platform in level 1. You helped clean up Mr. Oshiro's hotel and you climbed that mountain and overcame that struggle. This is something that makes the game really feel special to me, that it's a story I took part in. I overcame the struggles and challenges and made it up the mountain. It wasn't easy, at times it was frustrating, and at times I wanted to quit, but I carried on, even if at times it was just for the sick beats. Well done, Lana Rain. Celeste, with one exception, never explicitly tells you most of its mechanics. It expects you to experiment with the game and figure it out. For example, the traffic lights in Area 1. When they are first introduced, you will step on them and most likely jump at the end, going flying into these spikes. Turns out that killing the player will get them to learn quite fast, with most people waiting for the momentum to vanish before jumping on their second attempt. Even if the player does not initially realise the momentum mechanic with this object, the game keeps on pushing it to them, making it more and more necessary to complete each level until the game requires you to understand it explicitly to complete this level. This is a great example of teaching the mechanics of the game, but there are many more I could have chosen, such as the clouds in Area 4 or the bouncy ball things in Area 6. Celeste's approach to death is also worth pointing out. In the vast majority of levels, the game expects you to die lots, learn lots, and eventually complete the challenge. This is of course helped by respawn times being about 1 second, meaning most deaths you lose very little to no progress or time whatsoever, creating an environment where failing and learning is fine and encouraged. There are a few exceptions to this rule, however, where the game has long stretches without any save points, leading to a vastly increased pressure in death, since it would mean significantly more progress is lost. These areas are used sparingly and only during some of the most plot-heavy sections, making for more fast-paced challenges that feel rewarding when complete. As Maddie said in the GDC talk, there can be different levels of safety in the game, with some areas having a high level of safety but more difficult challenges, and others having a low level of safety but easier challenges. These two having significantly different feels to play. I believe they have struck the perfect mix between the two. Celeste's movement system is one of the best examples of a modern platformer, well, any platformer. It's a perfect mix of being basic and easy to learn with the basic left, right movement, a jump, climb and wall jump, as well as hard to master with complex mixes of all of these needed in quick succession in order to complete levels. The controls feel just right for the game. For example, the wall jump, an incredibly powerful move, but not too powerful since it pushes you away from the wall, too far to gain any elevation. The climb has a fixed stamina, meaning only so useful since you can't get too far with it, and the dash will only dash so far in a quick burst of energy but does not leave with much momentum, preventing it from being too overpowered. Both the stamina and dash recharge instantly when you're on the ground, meaning for a quick flowing platforming feel. These mixes of the powerful but not too powerful moves mean the player has to use all their movements in order to complete levels, making for often quick fire and precise button pressing, often while quite tense in order to complete each level. Celeste's gameplay design has been very well thought out, from the way the game presents stories in many forms, giving the player reason to keep trying and continuing, to the way the game teaches you its mechanics, through a mix of trial and error and slowly forcing you to understand them. The game is a difficult challenge for anyone who tries to beat it, however never gets too difficult to make players genuinely angry or want to quit, at least on the A-sides. This is due to the game's well thought out design, how the game deals with movement, teaching its mechanics and encourages the player through well-paced story beats. Congratulations to Matt Makes Games for your accomplishment on making a modern classic and an example on how to make a great platformer.